My name's Dave Dubeau, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome to Property Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Kaminsky, filling in for Dave Dubeau. And if you've ever wondered what it takes to really stand out in a sea of real estate projects, even amidst new construction, our guest today, Julian Armstrong, the mastermind behind Blue Ink Equity Partners, has really cracked the code. So get ready for some insights into real estate success and the art of keeping investors on board. Julian, thrilled to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thrilled to be on. Thank you guys for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. So there's a lot to talk about, but the main thing that I want to really dive into is everyone's got that origin story. How did you get your feet wet in this real estate business?
Well, it's funny. I think some people have the same similar story, but what happened is I had a friend drag me to a Than Merrill Fortune Builders event. Yeah, and so that really opened my world to real estate, because before that, what I thought was that you actually had to be licensed to do anything in real estate. Yeah. Not knowing there was another side of the coin, that you don't have to be licensed to do anything in real estate. Yeah. So once I went to that event, it opened my world up, and that's how I fell into wholesaling. And then from wholesaling, and this was all in Atlanta, and so that's where I started my real estate journey, in Atlanta, Georgia. And
wholesaling then in Atlanta is awesome.
Yes, it is. It is very, very lucrative. But I wanted to get something beyond that. I kind of saw a future. Like, I didn't want to be doing this the whole time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I started to get more interested in raising capital to do a bigger project. So I started talking with the investors that I was wholesaling to go ahead. Let's go ahead and get to some fix and flips. Yeah. And so that started to what I had to do with those investors, build the capital up to for fix and flips. And then recently, 2018 is kind of when I had a market shift. I started to see another market, which was Jacksonville, Florida. Atlanta started to get in that top of the market that reaches like, okay, it's kind of getting a little muddy here. Let's look for somewhere where an emerging market where our capital will go a little further. And Jacksonville was that place.
So how many years ago did you start wholesaling? When did you go to, because Fortune Builders, I don't know if they still actually run the circus, do they? They still come to town from time to time. I haven't seen an ad for a while. I saw an online ad yet.
It's been a minute, man, but that was 2012. 2012. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been about 10 years, 10,000 hours. You must have a handle on it by now. So in what year? You said 2018, you moved into Jacksonville, and this is where it started into, what did you continue wholesaling? You started flipping, or when did you start getting into development?
So now this is where the development process began for me. So with the track record that we have with our creativity and our designs, we decided we wanted to go do that further in a city like Jacksonville that kind of deserves what we call affordable luxury. What affordable luxury just pretty much means is that everybody thinks luxury has to exist in a real big footprint. And that's just, what society has gone on, but we kind of debunking that, and especially with the market conditions today, having a smaller footprint home to be able to, with the interest rates, it'd be better on people's pockets with a little creativity, a little design. You can still feel like you're living in a real big luxury home, but you're just in a smaller footprint, and it's more affordable for your pockets and, for your note. So we just wanted to bring something different to this market, and we know our investors' capital can really, really grow in this place.
So when did you start breaking ground on some of those projects? How many have you done, or are you still in the process of breaking?
Well, we're in the process of breaking ground on 7 projects here in Jacksonville right now, a mixture of duplexes and single family homes. But we also, in another emerging market in Oklahoma City, we're building 12 townhomes on a commercial level in Oklahoma City.
So what have you done so far in Jacksonville as far as fixing and flipping? Is that sort of the
we started actually the bread and butter started here was actually Airbnbs because it being close to St. Augustine and close to Orlando, it just kind of made sense to start with cash flow. You know what I mean? And then as the cash flow was starting to build that, it then started to look at, okay, well, where are the opportunities here from a development standpoint while that was being built? And then once we saw that opportunity, there was like, okay, this is full go. Just for an example, buying land for cheap, 14K, 15K, being able to subdivide it, you get 2 for 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so now that capital has just exponentially grown even more versus me buying separate lots and buying or buying an acquisition that's in place already.
Hmm. So how many, so right now your main business, what you're doing these days is managing and operating those short-term rentals?
No, the main business today is raising capital with our investors
Yeah.
and doing development in the property, giving them returns, and also our advisory services. So if you're a novice or a seasoned investor, novice investor, if you're looking to get into real estate and build that portfolio, we put out a plan, no different than a financial planner, but we do it with real estate. And for our seasoned investors, we look at their portfolio, see where they may trim some fat, how they can continue to grow their portfolio, and we map that out for them as well to show them, okay, they're looking to get here. We map that out and show them with real estate.
And so how did you get into that business? Because it doesn't seem like something people are sitting around having coffee going, you know what we could do?
You know, I saw a need for it. It's like, okay, so financial planners, they can't touch real estate, right? They're licensed, like they can recommend, but they
Hmm.
can't really touch it. So it's like, well, everybody doesn't want to get in the paper. You know what I mean? Some people want actually physical assets that they can touch in a time such a market as this, where the stock market has not been favorable to people, right?
Yeah.
So, but people don't have a guidance to that, and not a lot of financial planners can't allude to that fact, so they have to recommend. So we're looking to make ourselves an asset in that realm to add to a financial planner's business, where we can come in and be that advisor from a real estate standpoint to diversify their portfolio and continue to grow.
Yeah, because there's the old saying, all wealth is either made or held in real estate. So you're
Exactly.
essentially helping people understand that, because I can remember the same thing, it was 2015. And before that, I was like, well, I've seen people flip houses on HGTV or whatever. But I was under the same understanding that really the only way you could make money was, fixing up houses and then reselling them. But as I started opening up that box, I realized there's so
Hmm.
many other ways to, probably I would say real estate is one of the ways that you can have so many different ways to actually take value out of it or make value in it or hold
Hmm.
value in it. So it's like it's a very not complicated but diverse industry in which you can invest in or work in or
Yeah.
transact in. So when are you still wholesaling now, or what does your portfolio look like as far as what you're actively doing in real estate? I know you're doing those developments. How much time is that taking in a day?
Oh, it really it bogs down a day, but it's fun. You know what I mean? All the nuances when it comes to development it's very interesting, right? But if you fall in love with it, the delays are not fun, but we understand it's just a part of the process. And so we just kind of take an approach the daily of always loving what we do, so it doesn't feel like we're getting bogged down in the day as much time as it can take.
Yeah, because like as as streamlined as development is at a point in the project, the delays, as opposed to flipping, the delays are like in the middle and maybe near the end. But
Yep.
when it comes to like construction and development, it's a lot of like, we got rejected on the plan again. We got
Exactly.
rejected on our setbacks
Yes.
again.
Yep.
The person that's supposed to put the stamp on this is on vacation for 2 weeks. And
There you go.
so how do you guys navigate the delays? How do you maximize or minimize rather the delays inherent in development for your investors?
Well, when we talk about returns for our investors, that's why we tell them, hey, 24 months, you know what I mean, versus a year, because we know the nuances. And of course, if we give
Yeah.
it back to them early, we give it back to them early. But we put in enough cushion room for time wise to make sure that we still are on time with the getting our investors back their returns, but
Hmm.
also giving us enough room for the delays. It's just like when when you're building and construction, you have to have a contingency budget, right? Just in case there's overages or anything can go wrong. But that's the same thing we look at from a time perspective with delays. we have to put a contingency in there for if anything happened from a just in case standpoint. So they're already aware from that. And so something interesting that happened, like we're doing a development in Florida and on 3 lakefront properties. And we were supposed to start building around April, May of this year. But guess what? A crane nest was just happened to be on the property.
So now
And
you got environmental on
environmental,
property, yeah.
for 4 to 5 months, we had to wait till that egg hatched and they flew away. And so it's stuff like that. And I'm just saying, why can't we just cook it? But it's not. You can't do that, or you're going to go to jail, right? So
Yeah,
you have to deal with those things.
We have those up here where they'll like fence off a whole section of the beach and say like you can't go in there because there's some endangered bird living there, So definitely in Florida, I'm sure you're bumping into that. And what's the most common, like if someone's thinking, I want to become a developer, they're like, I want to get into the game. And I think a lot of people dream about that. They want to make a print, or they want to make an impact on their city, or even just to put their name on a building. What would be one piece of advice you'd give someone who's just looking at that and starting out?
Study your numbers. Okay. Know your area. It's not just let's go find out how to do construction. No, you have to really understand the environment and the landscape that you're developing in. And I think that base starts from knowing the location and knowing your numbers. Once you get that kind of, to me, mastered down pat, it's kind of easy to go into any area within real estate in any part of the country, and then to be able to apply that base, because that is the base of it. It doesn't matter where you're at. Like, you'll be able to take that same knowledge and do it all over. What applied, and the only difference is the municipalities and how they operate, right? And that's it. But from a number standpoint, I can go from Florida to Winnipeg and probably apply some of that. Just what are the rules there a little bit, and boom, it's going to be the same exact thing, because it's all about valuation and numbers. So once you understand that, and also understanding how to create value out of nothing, because that's what real estate development is. You're creating value out of nothing. And so once again, that foundation all comes back to that math and learning those numbers and learning the location where you're at.
Yeah, because there's you want to go and build something. Okay, let's go and pull up the PDF on infill guidelines, and now we're reading offsets and setbacks and catch basins and this and that. And so, do you have someone on your team that investigates that, or is that?
Oh, yes. Well, I do it too, because I'm so hands-on. I try to be as hands-off as much as I can, but I love the process. So I like to know what's going on with the property, because what happens is I know what strategy we need to take with our investors. Once I have that information and I know what strategy to take, then this is the plan that we have to implement and to put into place.
Yeah. So what is the next, say, 12, 24 months look like for yourself and the company?
So our focus is acquiring as much land as possible. We're going to actually talk to our investors about building a land bank. And the purpose of that land bank is to establish and buy all lots, where, even if they're individual lots, to where we're building at. So we create the environment and we create the comps, so we create the values. And so now you get a better return on your money. And then we get to pick and choose of where we get to go. And then let's just say we have 4 lots that's in the same area and we only chose 3. Well, we know the 4th lot has just by itself has raised value based on what we've done. Now we can decide to sell that lot, decide not to build, and create another income that way.
So what are you doing as far as your acquisition strategy? Because land's kind of I don't know what the word would be, but it's like an underappreciated market, in that there's people in it, but land isn't the first thing that comes to mind when people are like, I'm going to go and start wholesaling. It's usually houses. So how are you navigating the acquisitions? Because I know the banks aren't super happy about financing raw land either. So what is your plan to, really finance that and acquire that over the next 24 months?
So our acquisitions are like this. We have one, wholesalers always go off market. They're starting to realize like land is becoming a little bit more popular now, right? And so those are some of our go-to sources. Number 2, I still look on the MLS. It's still good deals on the MLS when it comes to land, not necessarily in structures, but from a land standpoint, there's some good deals out there. And so I'm gonna be on, those are my really main two sources, wholesalers, and I still go on the MLS. And as far as acquisition goes, as far as paying for it, we have our investors who are mostly in the Midwest investing with me here, to be able to buy that land. And so then we use all of that capital to not only acquire the land, but then to develop the land. And then based off the value after the land is developed, once we poured the slab, we got all the electricity and plumbing and all of that. It now has another value. So we're then able to take that value to the bank because we know they don't like land. But what they do consider that is our skin in the game. That is our cash. So they'll give us that based off of that value. So we merge that to make 100% financing.
Nice.
Because we put up the capital first.
So what separates your construction from, say the next guy's development? What would you say is your secret sauce that comes naturally to you guys that other people might find difficult?
They don't know how to maximize small spaces effectively. So we can make 1,100 square foot house feel like it's 1,800. It's just all about thoughtfulness and how you lay out the space. And how, even within the setbacks that you have, how do you maximize it to make it feel like it's not a smaller environment or a smaller home? Because there's a problem with affordability, right? Especially with market. Big houses are not in play right now. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense for what's going on. But builders don't think so because that's how they make their money, right? So that's why they stop building, right? But then in effect, that causes no inventory, but then nobody wants to make what's needed for the market, which is a smaller product, right? But because builders make their money off square footage, they feel like they can't make money off that smaller product, but nevertheless you can. It's just all about thoughtfulness, how you lay out that plan and that design, right? And so that's what helps us stand out, because we lay all of that out to make it feel like, are you sure this is only 1,100 square feet? So it's just, and then we put luxury items and not expensive stuff, just stuff that makes it make it feel like this house should be worth 500,000 and it's only really 240.
Yeah. So what are some examples of things that people can look forward to experiencing in your house?
So the details like this. Okay, so everybody, I'm going to give this away, part of our sauce, but if you look at your receptacles, for your electricity, those the covers, those receptacle covers, everybody uses white. Well, we use what goes with the trim of the house. Okay. So if it's satin nickel, we're gonna make those satin nickel too. You know what I mean? In the in the bathrooms, in the master suites, we know that women stay in the restrooms, right? They're always in the restroom. So that makeup or whatever women do, right? So women like to look at themselves. So we put makeup, little stuff like makeup mirrors next to the mirrors. So she doesn't have to think about, I got to get this from. It's already there. We kind of put ourselves in the mind frame of, if I was living here, how would I want this to function and flow? Instead of just giving you a bed and you got everything else, we kind of give you a little bit more. And it really doesn't cost much. It's just all really about thoughtfulness, honestly.
Yeah, the details, right? The details.
Absolutely.
So a lot of times developers get caught up in the game of maximizing the use of the land. They'll be like, if I go through variance, maybe I can get 4 on this 2 spot. And they usually get caught up in the time of that. Do you play that game of maximization, or do you just try to smoothly sail through the development process? Because you can fight the city for pretty much whatever you want. It just doesn't mean you're going to win, and it might be a big waste of time. So where do you guys sit on that whole maximizing use?
Depends on how bad we want to fight for it and how much we believe. Right. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be. I try to look for when I look at the zoning, I'm like, hopefully this is already what we need to do, and we just can go with it. You know what I mean? But if I see that, like, nah, man, this wouldn't be the highest best use, and we really believe that we can fight and get the zoning for it. And it helps that I go and talk to them all the time about stuff too, so I kind of abreast on the changes and stuff like that. But we try to look for what's easy, the easy button. And if we believe in it, then we fight.
Yeah. So it's like, as long as it's time profitable, because I think the biggest thing, like we were talking about before, is like time is the overage in the development process.
Absolutely.
Are you concerned at all of supply chain issues and inflation as you go into construction, being that these projects are 12, 18, 24 months? How do you project your costs so far into the future?
Well, we're able to control it because we're not building a big product. You know what I
Mm,
mean? So if wood goes up during our process, well, we don't have to order a lot of wood
mhm, mhm.
because we're already so big. So imagine if we build in 2,500 square feet and you're at 1,100 square feet and you have 1,400 to go, but wood goes up on that 1,400. Well, now you may be upside down or close to just breaking even or not making any money at all because of that material cost went up. But if we already stayed at a certain size, we mitigate that risk right there, and that's why we're staying within that with the products that we're building because we're mitigating for those type of changes. Like we know that concrete has went up, so our strategy is well, we don't want to have this setback from on the setback line so far. We want to kind of move it close because concrete is high. So now our driveway may be a little smaller, but we're not trying to make no 20-foot driveway because now it drives our cost up. So we
Mm.
try to make it as short as possible. That way it all fits in with our cost and our structure and our budget.
Yeah, affordable housing. So, um, if people want to connect with you, they want to reach out, they want to look at investing with you guys and really like jumping on board with this affordable housing movement that you seem to, really be pioneering out there. How do they connect with you? What should they do?
You can go to our website is www.blueinkequitypartners.com. Ink is spelled INK
Mhm.
because it's signed in blue ink. And then you can find me on Instagram at JuBlue. Excuse me, that is JUBLU3 as the E. So JUBLU3 and you on Instagram. And you can contact there from there as well.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, I really appreciate you
Thank y'all for having me. Really.
letting people in on the business model. I think you guys got a bright future, and it's really, I think, what people are looking for. So I really appreciate your time.
No, I really thank y'all for having me, just to exposure to your people to let them know what we do. Thank you so much. Really thankful.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. And until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
All right, peace.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.